Hello and welcome to Day Drinking with Ace, a podcast by our influencer agency. My name is Anastasia and I'm the founder. And today I'm joined by Nathalia Campos, who is a content creator, a business owner, and you might know her from Love Island as well.
You look like you could use a drink.
So today we're drinking your favorite drink, the spicy margarita. So I know there's a lot to unpack because you do a lot of things, but obviously nowadays there's two types of content creators. The ones who have really chosen this as a career and the ones who just fell into it. How was that for you?
I feel like I just kind of like fell into it. So when I was in college, I was just really into makeup. And then I remember just like watching loads of makeup videos. And then I started with like YouTube. I just thought I'll try and do my own as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of like happened. I started posting on Instagram and everything just happened really like naturally and organically. I never like overthink it or anything.
Yeah.
It just like sort of like happened.
How many years is that ago?
Oh God. I feel like I'm getting old. So I was like 18, 19. So 6 years, 7 years.
Okay, so
been
back
a
in the day
while,
where
yes.
social media was a little bit more lenient to
So at that
starting
time,
creators.
it wasn't like as saturated. It wasn't as much people doing it. So I felt like at that time, it was like kind of like easier in a way. Yeah.
So for you, it was pretty much about sharing your hobby, sharing the makeup.
Yeah, it was just like some things I was really interested into. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm also going to take pictures and videos of it and share.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
And did you grow fast?
Oh, at the time, yeah. So like from YouTube and then from just like posting on Instagram, like I remember at that time, like brands would repost your content a lot. And I remember even like Makeup Revolution at the time, I was working so much with them and they were like reposting my videos quite a lot. And then I would get like loads of followers from there. So at the time, it was very organically. Brands would repost you, then people would see your content, they would come follow you. And yeah.
So when did you realize this could be more than just a hobby?
I think I realized that like maybe after like a couple of years or like less than that maybe, when I came across like platforms where you could actually like work with brands and get paid. And I was like, oh, actually this can be like, you know, more than just a hobby. So I think it was through that.
Okay, so let's disclose some things here. In the first 2 years when it was still a hobby, did you make any money off social media?
I didn't. So like I was... Yeah, for at least almost 2 years, I didn't make any money. I had no idea how much to charge. I had no idea that you could actually charge. I literally, like, I didn't know much about it.
You're just happy to be there,
I was just doing what I loved. And, like, I feel like sometimes a lot of people just get into this because they want to get the free stuff or they want to get money or whatever. Like, that was never the intention for me. It was just, like, I enjoyed it. And then I remember even the first time I worked with a brand, like, gifted, and I was like, oh my God, I'm actually getting these things gifted to me and I love them. And I was like, oh my God, I was so excited. When I got paid the first time, I was like, I cannot believe it. So yeah.
So many creators that kind of fell into it say the same thing. Like they were just so happy to receive anything.
Yeah, so happy. Like it was never like something that I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this because I want to get free stuff. And it's just like I was doing what I enjoyed. And then when I was rewarded for it, it felt really good. So, yeah.
And so when did you start progressing it into more of a serious jobs and finding your worth as a creator as well? Because of course, you know, you're happy to be there, but you know, you're literally making these brands a lot of money by promoting this
and
stuff.
It takes a lot of our time and effort as well, right? So even when people say you're getting free stuff, it's not really free, is it? Because your time costs money and your effort. So I think it was like from that moment when I started getting paid, I realized that, you know, this can be like a career and a series. And then I was meeting more because I remember until then I hadn't even been to many like influencers events or any like brand events. So I think when I started meeting other creators and then I spoke with them and I understood how much this was actually like real and it was a career and it was like work, I think that's when it was more serious. Yeah.
So do you think that a lot of starting out creators just lack the guidance and lack transparency?
100%. I feel like when you start, you might not know much. So like you have no guideline, you have nowhere where you can go. I mean, maybe you do nowadays, I'm not sure, but at my time, I had nowhere where I could go and ask. And people were really weird about this. Like the other creators were really weird about talking like about if they charge and if they're getting gift, like they were
it's still a little bit like that.
Yeah,
it's still a little bit secretive.
Very like secretive and holding onto it really tight. So you're kind of like just winging it, which I feel like is so bad because a lot of people aren't getting paid because they don't know that they can get paid. So by encouraging other creators to charge and to like value their time in the work, you're actually helping yourself as well in the industry. So
100%, because the more creators don't charge, the more brands get away with it.
Well, if I can get that one for free, why would I pay?
Why wouldn't you? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
No, for sure. And in terms of talking to other creators, do you feel like you got nothing from it and you kind of had to figure it out slowly? Or was there someone that kind of led you to more understanding?
So a lot of it I had to figure out. Yeah. And some of it I got a little help. So maybe like as I became closer and more friends with some of them, they would like maybe like help me with some tips or some things like that. But a lot of it, I think it came just from the figuring out the experience. And then, like I said, these platforms, they kind of had like guidelines of like prices and things that you should be charging, which were very low. Now I understand that as well. But it's just kind of like as you gain experience, you just learn more and more about it. And I feel like nowadays you have more information on like YouTube, TikTok, whatever, where you can find people who share like how much they'll charge or like they'll give you tips and things. And I feel like at that time it wasn't really like that.
Yeah, it wasn't really like that. And I think that back in the day, agencies were not really a thing just yet.
Sure.
So there was not really a guideline. It was just all over the place.
Yes.
And when you started, obviously you started as a hobby and it was for fun. Did you have any idea of what you wanted your personal brand to look like? Or did you even think about a personal brand at all?
So actually, there was a time where presets were like a thing.
Yeah.
And I remember I grew so much from that because I made a preset. I don't even know how I made that, but it was like...
In Lightroom?
Yes. Yeah. So I made that just like changing and editing things. And I was like, okay, this looks pretty. Like it looks kind of like pinkish and girly and it makes everything looks pretty. So I think I just wanted my things to look pretty, girly, like nice, like aesthetic. Like I'm a bit of like a neat freak. I like things tidy. So I just always wanted things to be like tidy and pink and cute. So that was kind of like my brand. And then obviously like I always wanted to like sort of like share the things that I love and then like help other people who maybe they want to like know what kind of stuff is good, what kind of products is good and what kind of clothes and experiences. So yeah, it's just
so
about
what would you say your personal brand is?
Oh, so my personal that's a hard question. I think it's more like about I would say like inspiring people to live like kind of like a balanced lifestyle where I share like my work but also like enjoying life. So it's kind of like just like living life, enjoying and then still like, you know, doing like things that you love and still work. I don't know, like more like a balanced lifestyle.
For sure. And in terms of finding your personal brand, if you know you had to explain this to another creator who's a little bit lost, they're like, okay, I like dogs, but I also like my job, I like cats, and I like makeup. How would they go about finding their personal brand?
I think it's just kind of like you have to pick like your top 3 at least. I feel like nowadays you can share like a few things, but obviously it's good to keep it like to let's say like 2, 3. Find your favorites because I feel like that's what you're going to be able to stick to. Because if you're doing something that you don't really love, not that passionate about it, it's not going to be like realistic to last a long term.
Yeah.
So just like what you love the most, really. Yeah.
We actually recently launched a coaching thing with our social media manager, Erica, and she did one of her audits that she does with creators with me. And I found this so helpful. And it was pretty much where you firstly look at what people come to you for advice. What are the main things that are important to you about you? And then basically what you do for fun and a lot like what you said as well. And how all of these connect. Because a lot of times when you come to a profile, okay, there will be things about like, let's say makeup, there will be things about fashion, there will be things about drinks, but there's no synergy. And she literally showed me how you can connect all of these. So for example, my one is I'm a founder, but I also like what you said, having a balance and going for drinks. So then I can do things like trying a signature drink at places and it feeds back into this podcast.
Yeah.
My outfits are basically, I work in fashion and beauty marketing. So I get ready because I need to look the part.
Yeah.
And then other things we discussed as well have to do with my job. So my job is the connecting thing.
So you're just kind of like fitting it into your lifestyle. Because that way you come more organically and more naturally. Yeah. And then you love doing these things. So it's not like you it feels hard for you. So
and
I
it
think
doesn't
that's
confuse
perfect.
your audience
Yeah,
as well.
that's a really good. I need to check that out.
No,
That's
she's
really
so good at it. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, she made me a whole schedule
Oh
and
my
stuff.
God, I need her in my life.
I'm on my content.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that obviously with other creators, sometimes it's a bit difficult. And I feel like we live in a world where creators often come across as besties and friends.
Yeah.
Do you think content creators are friends or more like colleagues?
I think you can build real friendships from it, because I have like my best friend, which I'm also like, I was her bridesmaid and everything. We met through like the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in general, it's more like colleagues. Like, I think unless you really become close to that person, it's more like work colleagues, I would say.
Do you feel like there's a little bit of competition between
Oh,
creators?
definitely. So much competition. Yeah, I feel like there is, because people get really like weird about discussing things, even like brand deals, like contacts.
Yeah.
I think people get really like scared that if they share something, they're gonna lose it to the other person.
Yeah.
But then I think when you like that, you're just not confident enough in what you do, because if you know that you're doing something that you're good at and you love it, why should you be worried? Like, what's
Yeah.
for you is yours. No one's gonna take that from you.
Exactly. And also from an agency perspective, brands don't really see it that way.
Yeah.
If they have their eye on a particular creator, they're very unlikely to change their mind.
Yeah.
You know, they might take on another creator.
Of course. but
Very
they're, like, not
rarely
gonna
they will drop one if their
Yeah.
analytics, maybe they find out they're not very good.
Yeah.
But that's, that's something as a creator.
Yeah,
So
of course.
I feel like the world is big enough for
Yes,
everyone.
definitely. So many brands. I mean, there is a lot of creators, but there's also a lot of brands. Every day there's a new brand, So, and there is
Exactly.
like, I feel like nowadays, brands use creators so much more, even like instead of models sometimes. So there is a lot of opportunities for creators.
For sure.
Yeah.
And again, from an agency perspective, we get creators the most amount of deals when we pitch them in groups as well. Because like there's similar niches, right? You have beauty.
Mm-hmm.
So if one creator gets approached by, let's say, I don't know, L'Oreal, they already want this creator anyway. Why would you not pitch the others?
Of course.
So we always say like, okay, we're glad you want to work with this creator. Here's 5 others.
Of
and
course.
usually one of those 5 will get the job too.
Yeah.
And it's a win-win for everyone.
It's a win-win, and it's, it's a good thing.
Yeah, so for creators, it actually would be better to
If
share
they,
with each other.
Yeah, work together, kind of like a collaboration.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And I think that oftentimes creators also say this. I've heard this in my time where creators want to join our agency, but it'd be like, do not pitch me in groups though. I only want personal reach out. I'm like, okay, but then you will get less jobs. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Because if you don't share yours,
then you won't get
others.
Yeah, like it's if everyone is sharing, everyone is more likely to
get a job. Yeah,
it makes sense.
For sure. And I think that's complicated. And in terms of starting a business, how did you come to a point where you were like, okay, I love content creation, but I want more?
So I feel like ever since I was in college, when I started like sharing these things on YouTube and Instagram, and then I really loved doing that, and I got a job, but I always felt like I wanted to do something for myself.
Yeah.
So even the whole like being a content creator, that's also being an entrepreneur. Like you also like having to, work for, like you have to have your work schedule, your hours, and then some months might be amazing, some months not so good. So you are already an entrepreneur, right? And I think I just wanted to like use the knowledge that I have to also build something for myself that can be like long lasting and can be like something that could potentially like pass on, and like doesn't need to be always just like me right there and then, because as a content creator, even when you're on holiday, you're not really on holiday. So when you have a brand, you're always working. People think it's easy, but it's like 24/7. Like everything you do is part of like the work that you do. So when you have a brand, you also, I feel like you have a little bit more freedom to enjoy also like your personal life. Because if you can build that brand up to a point where it's kind of like running a little bit without you, you can have more of your own time, right? So I think that's part of the reason why I wanted to have a brand. And also just because I've always loved like doing my own thing. Even when I was like in school, I was like doing little things to sell in school, like back in Brazil. Like I always like doing things like selling, doing my own thing. I have this in me. I think sometimes you're just born with that kind of like,
So what type of personality do you think is needed to become an entrepreneur?
You have to be a little crazy.
I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I agree.
You need to be a bit
manic.
You need to be a little crazy. You need to you need to be okay with risks and inconsistency, because sometimes it might work and then it might not work. It might be good, it might not be good, but then you just try again and again, because if you have that drive on you, you're going to keep going for it. But like if you don't have it, I feel like you just try and then you're like, okay, no, I'd rather just have a stability and like, which is fine. Like, it's fair enough.
I don't think stability exists, because like, say you have a job, a regular person job, you apply, you get a salary every month, but your employer can decide to fire you anyway.
Yes, I think you can, but I think it's just like, it's a little bit more security than when you are an entrepreneur, right? Because, you can just get the next job, or, like you get a notice. Sure. Like, so it's a little bit more like, that every month you have X amount of money coming through. And like, it's great. Like, I'm not like saying anything bad about it, but I just feel like, for me, it doesn't work. Like, I like having that drive and taking risks and like trying again. And
the thrill of
I like that. Like, it's, and even like, people, and I think sometimes people mistake as well, like, oh, if you're going to build something, it's going to be successful straight away, it's going to be amazing. That's the wrong mindset. So if you're thinking like that, that's not for you. Not gonna work. Like, you need to be able like to win and to not win, because even when you don't win, you still learn from it and you grow and you can go into the next project. You can do like, as long as you have that passion inside you, I think that's the main thing.
I think, I'm not sure if this is controversial, but on my entrepreneurship journey, what I've learned is that you actually need to have a skill of making money. In a sense that, of course, you can know how to do marketing, you can know how to do fashion, you can know a lot of things, but the actual skill you need to have is, how do I make money? And once you have that skill, yes, your business might go to shit. You'll start another one. So the actual skill you're learning is how to make it.
I totally agree with that. I never saw it from that point of view. So for me, it was more like, I want to do something amazing, and then the money is kind of like the consequence of it. It's
interesting.
Yeah, so I just want, like, obviously I want to make money, don't get me wrong, like that's what a business is for. Everybody wants to make money, but I just feel like if I concentrate too much on the numbers straight away, it will bring me down. Like, you will demotivate. So I'll concentrate into building something that's amazing. And then I think whenever you're doing something that you're passionate about and that 100%. It makes sense and you put the work into it and it's going to be great quality, it's going to be amazing, the money is just going to be a consequence of it. So,
but I also think that in terms of that, any industry, any niche, anything like cleaning, I don't know, books, making tables, anything can be successful. So I do think that if you pick something you're passionate about, there is money there. You just need to find where it is.
100%. So you can make money with anything.
Exactly. So I agree with you 100%. I've had businesses that were good for me at the time, but then I didn't want to do anymore. And it's exactly because of that. You lose the spark, you lose the passion. And I don't think that before having ACE, I ever felt like a long-term passion. And I think that even if it makes money, if you don't love it,
you can't. Yes, you can't take a long time, isn't it? So you need to stay true to yourself and do something that you love.
Especially because it's hard, right? It's long hours. It's a lot of risk. It's ups and downs.
Yes.
Suddenly you have no money, then you have a lot of money.
100%.
So I definitely think that you should, for sure, pick something you love.
Yes, definitely.
So how did you pick what to do with your business? I know you have two. Let's start with your hair brand.
So with my hair brand, it's kind of like I've always been into like kind of like beauty, looking good, feeling good. And like women, I think hair is something so important to us. Like when you have a good hair day, I mean, for me anyway, like if my hair is looking good, everything else.
I think hair is even more important than makeup. If your hair doesn't look good, 100%. You cannot fix it.
Like there's been so many days where even like having a bad hair day, I can do the most beautiful makeup and I still
nothing will fix it.
So if I'm happy about my hair, I can just wing everything else. It's fine. So because I've always been really like, that into my hair, I wanted to do something I'm passionate about, like I said. Staying true to myself because it's like a Brazilian, like I'm selling Brazilian hair extensions. So it's coming from Brazil. And why extensions? Like, because I've met a lot of like women and that like, it's great to have amazing hair, right? But not everyone like have that. So sometimes even you go through things in life, you're stressed, you're losing hair, like, or you're going through like different things. Exactly. And you just need like a little, help. So it's about also like helping women. Of course, like there is an event, you want to like a red carpet, you want to have like a clip-in just to like make you look good. Exactly. So it's about like making women feel good with great quality products as well. So that's how that's how I got into it. And my business partner, who has been my friend for many, many years, he also owns a hair salon. So we're just like getting ideas together and thinking what we can do. And obviously I have more ideas for my brand. Like I also want to get into like hair care, like it's new. It doesn't have an investment fund behind it. So it takes time to build it up. But I have like a lot of things that I'm passionate about that I want to bring to it. So
do you think that picking a partner or a co-founder that really has knowledge that you maybe don't possess yourself is very important when starting a business?
Yes, it's very important. So I think like first thing when you start in any business, you need to do a lot of research and you really need to understand like what you're doing. So by having someone who already have that experience and that research, that speeds things up a little bit and it helps you. Because if I had to, okay, I love hair, I know what's good hair, I know what looks good, but if I had to actually learn where I'm going to source this hair from, what's the market like, that would take me like a lot of time. Yeah. So having someone with that knowledge is extremely useful. Yeah. So
is it difficult though sometimes working with a co-founder? Because I'm a solo founder and it comes with a lot of issues. Yeah. You're on your own, you're alone, you know. Yeah. But I do think that it can also sometimes be difficult to have two people with two different opinions. How's that been for you?
So I think it's like if when you have a partner, if you know your place and he knows his place or she knows her place, that works out great. Like we're not like I'm not trying to get involved in his part, he's not trying to get involved in my part. We both respect boundary, and then we both like to have a partner, it has to be someone who's going to complement you. So if you find someone who's got exact the same skills as you, why would you partner with that person? So it needs to be someone that has what you're lacking. So whatever it is that you offer, they don't have, and what they offer, you like the both ways, if that makes sense. Because if the person has exactly the same knowledge, there is no point. So absolutely. I think that would be the number one thing, to see if you complement each other. Yeah.
No, I 100% agree. And I think that's also important when you're building a little team. Yeah. That the first hires are going to be people who can either just execute what you no longer want to be executing, or people that actually bring in new knowledge and new structures into the business.
Yes. Otherwise, it's like, and even like, otherwise you end up doing everything yourself as well, and you're like micromanaging, and you're like, I'm a bit of a control freak. So like sometimes sometimes I have to hold back, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna, let things go the way it needs to go. But it's just about, like you said, finding people that's gonna like fill in the gaps or do the things that you're not that great at, because we all have weaknesses. Like we all have things that we're so good at.
What's yours?
Things that
my one is numbers.
I think it's like sometimes I need a little push. Like sometimes I need a little push. So I think it's like sometimes just someone to be like, do it. And then just like, that's why I like having a business partner. Yeah. Because sometimes if you have someone there that you can kind of like also have to like show what's going on to you. You're not necessarily sure because you work together, but you know that person is also there. So a little push is something that I need for things.
So this person is obviously someone you've known for a long time. Are they a friend?
Yeah, he's a family friend.
Do you think it's better to choose a friend or someone you are not so close with? Because obviously friendship and work can sometimes
be... It can be complicated. Yeah. So I think it needs to be, without doubt, it needs to be a person that you trust. So I don't know, just a random stranger, how that would be. It needs to, because you need to trust that person like 100%. So the fact that he's a friend that you've known for years, the trust is there. So that's like the benefit of it, I would say. Maybe the downside is that you are friends, so sometimes you can overstep boundaries. Yeah. But because I feel like he's older and like he's a family friend, and the relationship that we have, the friendship that we have, is kind of like always being like very respectful with like already boundaries within the friendship. So I know it's someone that would never like would never have a problem with. So it has ups and downs to both of it, I think. Yeah.
So how did you set it up from the beginning? Basically, you guys had the idea, let's do hair extensions. How did you go from there?
From there, it just started like, first seeing what's my part of it, what's his part of it, like dividing like tasks, so to say, like, okay, you're going to be responsible for that, I'm going to be responsible for that.
What are you responsible for?
So I'm responsible more for kind of like all the creative side or the marketing side, branding, all things to do with branding, marketing, social media, and he's more responsible for kind of like sourcing the hair, quality control.
Yeah. So the actual products.
Yes, and then admin bits. He's doing more the numbers because he's responsible for like the buying and the negotiating part of things, and I'll do more the admin that has to do with like marketing and creative and branding. So like building packaging, photography, the content creation, web design, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And so, okay, so then I guess you guys designed a website. And how did you market it?
So we've designed a website. The brand is like quite new actually, so it's not been a long time. Marketing is just like kind of like Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram. Trying to get to TikTok, but I feel like I need to push more. Like there is still a lot of marketing that needs to go to it. It's not perfect yet. It's not where I want it to be. So it requires work. Yeah.
Do you feel like having a personal brand like you do helps getting the product out there?
Yeah, it definitely helps. Some products I think they're easier to sell than others. Because obviously like hair extensions, it can be like a niche. Not everyone wear hair extensions, and then it's a very high quality product which is quite expensive as well. So obviously it helps that I have my following because they trust what I say. So that really helps. But again, it just takes time to build something up. People need to check, they need to see that it is really good, and it takes time to build it up. But it does help. Yeah.
So, you know how everyone says now that no one wants to follow brand accounts? They want to see the founder's account, like the story, the journey of actually building a brand, how they went about it, the struggles, the wins. What do you feel about this in the sense that do you think it's better for founders to share a personal story, or do you kind of just want to stick with a brand that represents itself?
I think definitely it's good to take advantage of like your story and your following, because a lot of times people buy into storytelling and like you can always use your story to sell, right? So I think it's definitely like an extra benefit, especially at the beginning when you're like founding the brand, like when you're starting the brand. After a while, maybe when it's like already known and is kind of like walking by itself, then maybe you don't need it as much. But at the beginning, I feel like it definitely makes a difference because a lot of the times, like I said, people buy into your story. So,
No, 100% agree. And I think that a lot of companies don't take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And nowadays we have so many products out there that it's difficult to buy into yet another mascara or yet another, beauty blender. While if you actually see the journey, it's maybe more interesting.
Definitely. So people are more interested once they know the story behind it, right? So I definitely think people should take advantage of that.
So do you think you need to be careful then if you're building a personal brand and you want to take it further? Like, for example, you've been on Love Island, which is obviously for some people, it's such a goal. And for others, they're like, oh, it's a reality show. How serious can you be about your life if you're in a reality show? What do you think about that?
About what people's opinion?
No, in a sense, when you're building a personal brand and you make choices, do you think you should just go with your gut, or do you need to be very strategic?
Well, I mean, I just went with my gut. I didn't do much strategy thinking. So I guess I think there is ups and downs to both, right? I mean, if you can be strategic about it, of course, take advantage, why not? But then it might not be natural. So I think just stay true to yourself and do what you think feels right for you. And then even then, if whatever happens, you know that you did something that you wanted to do and not what other people wanted you to do, or because you did. I'm more about oops than what if. So I'd rather just do it and then,
And I think you also find your audience in that way, because obviously if there's some people out there who think like, oh, I would never buy from a celebrity or like a TV show person, then they're not your customer. Your customer will be the person who thinks, oh my God, how cool.
Yeah, and I'd rather surround, obviously customer is a customer, you buy in as a business, but I'm more likely to have people who are open-minded, who are cool and who has the same values as me than people who are judgmental, closed-minded. So that's not the kind of people I'm trying to reach anyway. So
exactly. And now I want to touch base on your other business, because obviously you took all of your expertise
Yes.
and you made it flow out into another business where you help others in social media.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit more about your social media business?
So with my social media, actually, because I've been doing my own social media for a long time, so obviously like I've worked with many brands, I've gained experience, I've like learned different things. So I wanted to take advantage of that into building a business. And funny enough, my friend that I mentioned from the other business, he owns a hair salon. Yeah, because he owns a hair salon. So he was my first client to manage and look after his social media. Because he said, "Oh, you're so good at your Instagram. Like, can you help me out with mine? Like, I don't know how to edit the videos, or I don't know what to post. Like, I need help with like creating some content." So I started doing that for his business. And after having him as a client, I was like, okay, why not do that for more clients, for more businesses? Because it's something, again, that I really enjoy, and that it really helps, because a lot of people are very talented to like, so he's a talented hairstylist, but he's not really like on social media. So you don't need to have all the skills. That's why there's other people who can help you.
Exactly.
So that's how it started.
What are the exact services you offer?
So we do social media management, content creation, branding, web design, like Facebook, Google Ads.
So everything you learned
a bit
to do
of
for your hair
everything.
brand.
Yes. So like everything that I do for my brand, and that I kind of like, some of the things I do myself, some of the things I also have a business partner. She studies, she's finishing her marketing degree. So she has like a lot of experience as well. So it's kind of like what I know. And then we, of course, outsource. So like we work with amazing like photographers, videographers, people that I trust and that I've seen their work, and then I'll bring them with me. A lot of times, like to clients, he'll do the content, but I'll do the directing. I'll make sure everything's going to look in a way that's going to look nice and sell and stay true to the brand. So it's kind of like a teamwork, which is really good. Yeah.
Where did you find your team?
So it's kind of like, obviously, like I take advantage of social media. You can kind of like scroll and find people. The main people that I work with, I met through clients and also social media. Yeah.
So again, leveraging your personal brand pretty much.
Yes.
That's amazing. And when it comes to dealing with clients, do you think it's different than managing your own brand?
Yes, it's different, because I think obviously like you have that person there that needs to like approve and be happy. And like when you're doing your own brand, of course, you still need to be happy. But I feel like in a way it can be a little bit less pressure to do your own than to do someone else, because you basically representing that person and you creating an image for that person. So you need to make sure that you are following what the person wants to be seen as and represented as. So it is kind of like a responsibility to like post the right things, like the right language when you like talking. And
of course.
Yeah. So it's a lot of responsibility, but it's good. I enjoy it.
For sure. So obviously you started as a content creator, and from there you built two very distinct businesses, both in different niches, different vibes, but it all pretty much came from your experience.
Yeah. So they are like different, but they are different, but they're like similar to me.
Exactly.
So like beauty, hair, looking good, like where I'm from, and then my experience with social media. So they kind of like, they are like true to me, basically.
So if you are a creator and you want to start building a business, doing a little bit more than just creating content for other brands, what would be a piece of advice you would give them? Like, where do you start? How do you go about it?
If you want to start your own brand as a creator, I think number one, like find your passion, like what you really want to do. Not just something that everyone is doing, or that's something that you think you're going to make loads of money off. Like find your passion, find something that you love to do, and then just do your best. Like be your best at it, like dedication, discipline, perseverance, and just go for it. Like don't overthink it too much, just go for it.
So you do think that a brand needs to be close to you?
Well, yes, because building a brand is a lot of hard work. And honestly, like you need to start, like I'm all about positivity, and everything I do, I manifest like positivity. However, you need to be ready for things to go wrong. So if you're doing something that you're not passionate, that's not close to you, that you're not true to you, you're more likely to give up. So if you want something for the long term, for the long run, it needs to be close to you.
So what do you think about brands like Pretty Little Thing then, that are owned by men who probably don't know that much about what a woman feels like in, little dresses, but then they choose creators to be the face of the brand to make it more relatable?
Well, I feel like number one, they have so much money behind it, which is, I mean, realistically speaking, when you have so much money that you can, yeah, because you just have so much money, you can just do whatever. Like you can market it however you want. Like you can do the best billboards, you can take advantage of all the celebrities, you can take advantage of all the marketing you can get. Like you don't really, like it is really just a business. It's not a passion. I don't think the owner of Pretty Little Thing is passionate about dresses.
Yeah.
So I think it is very much profit basis, and there's like taking advantage of their money to do something.
So you think as a creator who actually wants to start a business, the best things to do is find your passion, dedicate time to it, research, maybe find a good partner that complements your skills, and basically just build it from there.
Yes, definitely.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Let's cheers.
Cheers. That was really good.
Yeah, and we finish it off. Follow us for more insights into the influencer industry and stay tuned for more episodes.